All right, I guess we just gonna get into it. Peace, y'all. Um, this has been this has been a long time coming. Far too long, if by my standards, by anybody else's standards, by just the work that I feel that needs to be done. It's taking me way too long to get this started, but here I am. Some of you know me, some of you don't. Um, I go by a number of names, most of which have been given to me, but more noticeably that I've taken become pretty fond of is Mr. Hughes. Um, a lot of people know me as Rel. With that being said, I welcome you all to Front Porch Vibes. This is the introductory episode, or the introduction, if you will. So I don't have any set format. I don't have any. Well, I did, but we're not going to follow that. Um, I'm using this episode as a reference tool so that later on down the line I can go back and see how I've evolved, how I can be better. Um, I'm using this also as a disclaimer episode for anybody that may try going forward to take anything that I might say and try to condense it to a 15-second clip and try to misconstrue anything that I say. I just want to start this off by saying that I'm not anti anything but ignorance, anti hatred. Um, so if you subscribe to either of the two, this is definitely gonna ruffle your feathers. Before y'all make fun of my mug, this is what my son got me for Father's Day one year. It says "Amazing Dad" on it. I try to live up to that every day. Um, Brief introduction about myself. I'm from Paterson, New Jersey. Some of y'all know where that's from. Some of you have no idea where that is, but if you don't, it is one of the. My city needs some assistance. I'm gonna just say it like that, without being judgmental, without being cliche, without trying to go down that path of all of the negatives. I'm gonna try to take a different perspective on this. But I come from one of the roughest cities in the country. Um, I'm thankful to have made it to the point that I am, or that I have. Um, and I'm thankful to have gained a lot of the information that I have so that I can pass it on to a lot of the young men that I essentially run into, or I have run into during my journey. Um, as a father, as a husband, this initially set out to be my journal, so to speak. The Front Porch Vibes initially was going to begin as chicken and waffles, which was going to be my regardless of what the recipe was, like this wasn't supposed to be, or maybe it was supposed to be, because this is how the universe works. They say if you want to make God laugh, make a plan. Um, so again, this disclaimer is to say that this is Switzerland, meaning that no war takes place here. For those of you who may not understand that reference or what that means, because The Wire was like a little bit before your time. If this was John Wick, this is the Continental, meaning that no business is conducted on these grounds. I invite you all to come and share conversation. We can share insight. We can share difference in opinions, but what we're not going to do is be disrespectful to anybody in the process, if that makes any sense. Um, there's going to be plenty that we disagree on, and that's fine, because number one, nobody's right or completely right, and nobody has all the answers, especially within the black community, because if we did, we'd be rich. Um, to my beloveds, you know who you are. I'm not going to name you, but you know who you are. For you getting on me and being the fire to get me to start this, I appreciate you. So with that, this very first episode is dedicated to y'all, which so aptly the subject matter for today is going to be procrastination. Um, I can tell y'all stories time and time and time again about things that I should have, could have, would have done, And because I'm like, oh, I can do it tomorrow or I can take care of it tomorrow, it never got done. Or somebody did it for before I did, which had me sitting feeling goofy. I know a lot of us who do or subscribe to the very same behavior, and I'm gonna tell you if nobody else tells you, do that shit. Do it. The reason for me naming the show Front Porch Vibes is because I I was outside broad. I was actually allowed outside of the house a little late. You know what I'm saying? While a lot of my friends were able to go run the streets and stay out to a certain time, that didn't come into like my later teen years. So a lot of my conversations, whenever I got a chance to hang with my friends and things like that, was on the front porch. Young ladies also that I couldn't bring in the house or that I might have been trying to court or whatever the case may have been. That's where the conversation took place. So that's where this is. I know that currently this is in my space, but as the show progresses, like I said, various locations will be brought to you for your enjoyment, for us to just talk about too. Some of them you're going to recognize, some of them are going to be famous stoops, some of them are just going to be regular degulars. I hate that, but whatever. We're going to get to that too about urban colloquialisms. Um, Doubling back to what I was talking about procrastination. Far too often we miss the boat because we just don't handle our business. And oftentimes, once we get started, we realize that it's not even that difficult or it wasn't that much work entailed, but because you don't start, you don't know. So I repeat to anybody that might be watching this, young and older alike, because there's no time frame on when you can become successful or when you can accomplish a goal that you might want to. For anybody that is watching this, I encourage you, do that shit. I keep looking because I'm trying to find my camera, but we gonna get there too. Like I said, these growing pains, y'all my cousins. If y'all not my cousins, y'all my friends. Y'all coming to sit on my porch and come chop it up with me. So if I am not the most articulate, please don't hold it against me. There are going to be some days where I am, but there's going to be plenty of times where, again, I'm using this space to say the things that I don't have the space to say on social media. I don't have the opportunity to say on social media because number one, you can't get online and devote the time to debate with anybody, let alone like get into a heated conversation about topics. I'm a firm believer that being right in the wrong room still makes you wrong, if that makes any sense. Um, so with the advice of some of the people that I care for and that I admire and value their opinion, I created a platform so that I can relay these ideas and relay this conversation and relay this shit to people so that, I don't know, so that hopefully we can essentially just like change our course of thinking because the world is a spooky place right now. Every time I go to the news and I read something, I'm just like, it's very disturbing, man. And I think it was James Baldwin that said to be educated in this country is to be in a constant state of anger, or let me not say anger because somebody gonna take that and be like, you see, I told you he was an angry black guy. I'm not here for that. Again, we're not anti-government. We're not anti-heterosexual, LGBTQ. We're not anti-women. We're not anti-men over here. But there's some conversation to be had on both sides. And instead of us doing a lot of the finger pointing that we have been doing as of recent, the dynamic needs to change. There are going to be plenty of hot button topics that we're going to talk about that I encourage anybody that may know me, please shoot me questions. I'm going to provide spaces for comments and concerns and, just rebuttals. If anybody has information that they would like me to review or any topics that they might want me to speak on that they may not feel they just may not want to, but the conversation needs to be had. I encourage you to send that to me as well. there's really nothing here that is going to be off color, if you will. Um, yeah, and that's just it. I feel that there is a miscommunication between. I feel there's a miscommunication between a number of different groups. Um, I feel that the world is a bit misconstrued on how we feel as black men and how we view the world. They think that we might just be angry, and while we might be angry at some things, we really don't choose to. Um, I think there's a miscommunication between men and women to where we feel like, especially black men and black women, where we feel like we're the enemy. Um, and the reality of it is there are two sides to each coin, and while we can sit and talk about how men are this and women are that, we both have a part to play in it, just like the criminal in our judicial system. But that's another conversation for another day. um Notice I said criminal too, like I didn't specify color, ethnicity, religious background, anything of the sort, because one thing that I've also noticed is that there's no group of people walking this planet that is without blame. We live in a time where we celebrate some of the most tyrannical figures or some of the most selfish, vicious, violent people in our history. But the ones who were actually inspired to change, they died some of the most gruesome deaths. I I was actually reading something about Patrice Lumumba today, who was actually the Dominic. I'm sorry, excuse me, the Republic of Congo's first prime minister. And if you ever have the opportunity, I encourage you all to look up and read his story and find out what happened to his body. Like, I'm still trying to figure out what someone did to be like dissolved in acid. Like, you hear of shit like that happening amongst like criminal organizations and shit like that. Not by whatever. Like I said, I don't want to give anybody the wrong impression and feel that I am anti anything, but conversation needs to be had. And again, this is why I created this space. So, with that being said, I welcome you all once again to Front Porch Vibes. Um, I don't care who you are, white, black, purple, pink, yellow, blood, crip, king, Muslim, nieta. Let me back up. Forgive me. Forgive me. Forever including my Muslim brothers and sisters with the list of, you know what I'm saying? That was very incorrect of me to do so. You see, this is why we here. Damn. This is why we here. Um, but the point was that I don't care who you are. Let's have some conversation. None of us are right, and there's some things to be learned. And I'm trying to create this space for us. Um, yeah, I really don't know really how else to describe that, or to describe this space, other than to bringing you on this journey to really show you guys how I feel and about, you know, just current events. I mean, I can scroll through the news and pick a topic to discuss, but I feel that we're losing sight of just foundational principles. Like, for example, how many people you see in the street that you might hold the door for or something and people just don't say thank you. Like, I don't know where common courtesy just got lost in translation, or people feeling like they have the ability to treat anybody else however they want to, based on their financial status or where they may reside or whatever the case may be. There's a saying, and a number of people have said it throughout history, but more noticeably that I remember. Again, I'm not saying that this is the only person, but Muhammad Ali said, pay attention to how somebody treats the janitor. Pay attention to how they treat somebody that can do nothing for them. And I think if somebody can offer me some insight or show me where my thought process or their thought process may differ, I invite you all, please reach out to me. But again, it's a bit hypocritical that we drive home the idea that love conquers all, love always wins, love this, love that, but it's rarely practiced. So much so to where when we see the very small acts of love, the very small acts of kindness, we're moved and these things go viral. And I'm like, are we not supposed to care for one another? And this is coming from somebody who used to be outside. I used to be selfish. I used to be very self-serving. There were plenty of instances that I wouldn't involve myself in if it didn't benefit me in any capacity. And the moment that I changed that mode of thinking, my life changed for the better. Let me also back up and say this too. I have a belief that we are walking, talking, breathing computers. The purpose of the internet was so at one point in time, this computer in this room can speak to this computer on the other side of the room, which then evolved to this computer being able to speak to another one across seas. I will never be the person to get information and charge you for it, especially some information that was given to me by another culture. That's going to help me make more money. That's going to help you make more money. And it's not taking no paper out of my pocket. Like, there's so many times that there are opportunities that we don't pass on to each other because we don't want somebody advancing before the next person does, or they are potentially going to advance before you will. Not knowing that they might just pull you through the door also. Have there been instances where people just took those opportunities and just ran with them and forgot whatever you did for them? Absolutely. But we're going to keep going through life being selfish? This pandemic just passed us, right? The pandemic passed us, and this is all they've been talking about in the news. This has been the biggest financial shift we have ever seen in the last 40 years, 50 years. Might be longer than that. I forget the exact time frame. But we've literally watched trillions of dollars pass by us. And I'm only speaking from experience. I know that there are people out there who are literally charging people to get them free money. And I don't mean free money like, oh, let's go scam the government. But there are people with legitimate businesses. There are people who were in position to start businesses, but they didn't have the resources to do so, that would still have qualified for perhaps one of the programs that were available, because it wasn't just the PPP program. There was the economic disaster loan. There was the Paycheck Protection Program, but there was also the COVID-19 economic disaster loan. Like, there was so much that. How many of you got your rent paid for a year and passed that information on to your peoples, and didn't pass that information on to them a day or two before the portal closed? And I ask this question because I've literally watched other cultures rush to each other, call each other on the phone. Yo, bro, what you doing right now? Nah, I got some game to give you real quick. Pull over real quick. Let me just tell you, I'm not certain where the disconnection is coming into play, but it's somewhere, and I want to find it. And again, I'm not trying to rage against the machine, because anybody that knows me knows how I like to approach things. I'm not a, I'm always a defense rather than offense type person. But we got some work to do, and a lot of the work is going to start with how we think. And I hear and I see a lot of people online talking about black unison and uh, it being a lost concept, and we're losing sight of what we're supposed to be doing as people, and it's just conditioning. Like, bro, listen, let me tell you something. For you to acknowledge the boogeyman, and I don't mean the in the physical sense of it being a person, but you realize what may, better example, my boogeyman, right, is myself. Oftentimes my thoughts, my doubts, my fears get in the way of me just doing something, making a shirt, starting my show, doing something with my family or my wife or my children or whatever, whomever, or just trying something new and brand new experience. The fear that we fear or the fear that we feel is not real. It's not. And I am a living witness to, once you at least start taking a step or two, you're going to find out very quickly whether or not what you're doing is going to be for you, or it's just something that you might have felt at the moment and you need to just shift your focus elsewhere and go focus on another avenue. You're not going to catch me on this podcast talking about if you can't pay her bills, you shouldn't be talking about a black. Yo, bro, you sound crazy. Anybody that subscribes to that nonsense sounds crazy. And I'm going to tell you that. Like, we are not here to body shame. We not here for none of that, bro. But there's some things that need to be spoken upon. Black men, you got some work to do, fellas. We doing it too. Like, I'm not gonna do that to us. I will absolutely give us all the grace and all the credit. As of recent, a lot, I want to say 90% of the black men that I know have been on their jobs. And I don't mean taking their ass to work. I'm talking about being family men, striving every day to be better people, especially the men that I knew that were outside, that were like outside. I mean, to protect the guilty and innocent alike. I'm never name dropping, but for all of the men that I know and that I will meet and that I hope to meet and that the creator has already deemed for us to meet, or that I've met in the past, whatever the case may be, I salute all of you. Ladies, I always salute y'all. I salute you, period. But my job as a black man in this day and age, I'm not even going to say in this country, but I'm going to say in this day and age, as a father to young black men, I have 3 boys and a young woman child that I'm also assisting with raising. It's imperative that I be better. You know what I'm saying? Like, people ask me often, I'm not going to say all the time, they ask me often about, what made me have so many children. And I'm like, first of all, it's not necessarily what made me have children. I'm thankful that all of my children were planned, even my first, which ended up teaching me so many life lessons about, growing up and handling your business, bro. Even if you fellas, handle your business, man. Like, and it sounds so simple, but I promise you, it really is. Like, if we are walking with that mindset, handle your business, I promise you, it's gonna start to dictate so much on even just how we maneuver, stores we go to, stores we don't go to, people we engage with. And I don't mean people from your community. I'm talking about people that just don't mean you well. Like, people want to jump on the idea, oh, skinfolk ain't kinfolk. Like, right? But that just translates to people, period. Again, I have met some of the worst people you will ever meet in your life. Some of them look like me. Some of them didn't look like me. Some of them look nothing like me. Like, Some of them didn't believe in the same things that I believed in terms of who they worshipped. So nobody is without blame. If we go through the history books, from the Africans to the Dutch to the Europeans to the Spanish to the Portuguese to the Japanese to the Chinese, have all done some questionable things. Mongolians, if I said the Greeks already, like, nobody is without cause or nobody is without blame at this point. But we not gonna get nowhere if we keep blaming people. Every time something happens, it's like, oh well, it's them and it's them, and it's like, all right, cool. How do we fix this problem? I'm gonna tell you a quick story. Well, not even a quick story, because there's plenty of times that this has happened. As of recent, there have been plenty of people that I've had disagreements with, or they, like, it seems as if like they wanted a reason to be mad at me, right? And I just asked them a very simple sentence and just stop them in their tracks. First off, I acknowledge if I am wrong, I acknowledge my wrongdoings by apologizing. Not, yeah, well, my bad, but I'll be like, yo, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was wrong. But more importantly, this one sentence: how do I fix this? Either we can or we can't. It's up to you at this point. But I humbled myself and I brought myself to you to show you that I'm wrong, that I acknowledge that I'm wrong, and I'm willing to change this. So how do we proceed? How many people do we know that's willing to have those conversations? And even then, so you say that to somebody like, well, like, yo, bro, no, seriously, listen, I understand I was wrong. I'm sorry. How do I fix it? Besides fear being the biggest opportunity of being the biggest opportunity killer, ego is also. Plenty of black men that I know that, again, we were outside. We were all outside together at one point in time. And some of us are inside now. Some of us are still outside. Some of us have families. Well, a lot of us have families now, but we're all scrambling to do this damn near the same thing, just in a different capacity, tweaking little ideas. Pepsi and Coke, Sprite and Sierra Mist type shit. And instead of us working together, we'd rather be owned by the same company and have very little equity in it, which is the weirdest shit ever. Like, this weed business in the state of New Jersey, anybody who's been watching money has seen how lucrative this has been. Anytime they start talking about it and then they get quiet, or any time, let me stop saying they before somebody like, oh, he's a conspiracy. He's a Kaspersky. Like, no, I'm not. Anytime you hear reports or see reports about how much money something is making, and then you just see it stop and you know it's still making money, it didn't go out of business. I know plenty of black people that got their pinkies dipped in this industry. I met a black woman in Boston. She out there doing her thing. Um, Shit, Al Harrington is out in Essex County doing his thing. Bringing Viola out here, and I'm just like, I'm a little confused as to where the disconnect comes into play. I'm not understanding where the black politicians who might be mayors and councilmen and councilwomen uh, of certain towns, why they might be against the retail sale of cannabis. Considering retail sale, well, cannabis has been sold within the community forever. Like, especially for the undeserving or the undeserved or the unserved, better terminology, the unserved communities, pothole ridden streets, uh, educational resources are at an all-time low. Like, marijuana essentially would, the cannabis industry, let me back up, excuse me, because I'm trying my best to not use slang or jargon or anything when I'm referring to actual facts and specificities, if you will. Um, the cannabis industry alone would revitalize so many neighborhoods, so many black neighborhoods. I actually saw that there's a black-owned dispensary that just opened in Brooklyn too, though. Shout out to them. I forget the name of it, and once I find it out, I'll come back. But like I said, this particular episode has no format. I'm talking to y'all like I would want you to talk to me. A lot of you are meeting me for the first time, and I don't want to give anyone the wrong impression. Um, and I could very well easily take the approach that if I do give you the wrong impression, fuck it. But it's not progressive. And I'm trying to be progressive. I'm trying to be solution focused. I'm trying to be solution driven going forward as opposed to taking a stance that I see so many of us getting online and taking like, oh well, men this and oh this that and the third, blah blah blah. I'm not certain what's happening, but something needs to happen. Um, Again, welcome y'all. This is my very first episode of Front Porch Vibes. I hope you enjoyed my very brief introduction to who I am. And I hope that y'all stick with me through this journey because I hope to grow. I hope y'all grow with me. And I got some things in store. So with that, I salute you all. And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything that you ever want to speak on, feel free to reach out. I'll drop my email or have a comment section for you guys. Feel free. I'm always here. I am Mr. Hughes. This is Front Porch Vibes signing off. Peace.